the novel Vendor of Sweets, uh, chapter 2. Chapter 2 starts with Jagan going home after his day at shop. At little past 7:30, uh, he goes home. He takes the market road, and the first thing he sees is Dr. Krishna's dispensary, and after that, he sees a heap of stone on which a street dog lay snoring. The heap of stone which had been kept there uh, in 1947 when the first municipality body was elected in free India, meant to be paving the road. And the next place he sees is Nataraj truth printing. And if Jagan knocks on the door, Nataraj would open the door and they can have a chat about weather or politics. And especially in Nataraj truth printing, there is Jagan's magnum opus on nature cure and natural diet. Uh, Jagan's book about nature cure and natural diet. And then he passes the Kabir lane, and at that junction, there is a short parapet over the culvert, and a vagrant was sitting there and looking at the passers-by spitting into the gutter, and he's waiting for the dining leaves to be cast out from the homes in the Kabir lane. And after that, he uh, picks them up and score them and fill his belly with rice or vegetable left on them. And after that, he goes from door to door calling, "Oh, good mother, give a handful of rice for this hungry one," begging food. Right? So Jagan thinks that he's a disgrace to the nation. That is because he begs, he depends on the others. Jagan is a Gandhi follower, and Gandhi taught about self-sufficiency. Swayam Poshita Baba, right? So everybody must work, and this vagrant doesn't work, and he begs from people. So Jagan doesn't like it, and Jagan sets up a plan uh, to get rid of this vagrant, the beggar. That is making the people eat off plates other than using dining leaves. For that, he needs to uh, take the statistics, how many people eating off plates, how many people eat off leaves, and also he has to find uh, what kind of plates do they use, and also he has to find a remedy, a solution for the people who are engaged in cultivating banana leaves uh, used as dining leaves. And also uh, some kind of an alternation should be taken for the people who picks up the dry leaves from the forest pempi and stitch them with splinters that which are used as plates, right? Till all this was done on a national scale, This vagrant would continue to remain here. So until all these things are done, Jagan cannot stop this vagrant, right? මේක දැන් රට පුරාම කරන්න ඕන සර්වේ එකක් කරලා මේ මුළු රටේම මිනිස්සුන්ට මේ හැබිට් එක දෙන්න ඕන. right? එතකොට ජගන් මෙච්චර මේ මුළු රට පුරාම මුළු ඉන්දියාව පුරාම මහා ප්ලෑන් එකක් ගෙනියන්නේ මොකටද? To stop this vagrant. Right? So late in the night, he emerged from this culvert and went down the street crying at every door, "Oh, good mother, give a handful of rice for this hungry one." He had a deep voice which penetrates the door and reached the kitchen beyond. His tone also quietened troublesome children, as he was described to be a man with three eyes. Right? So the doors are closed, doors are shut, and this vagrant shouts from outside. So his deep voice penetrates the door and reaches the kitchen. මෙයාගේ මේ ගැඹුරු කටහඬ දොර අතරින් යනවා කුස්සියට එනකන් ඇහෙනවා. right? මේ රෑ වෙලාවේ මේ මහා ගැඹුරු කටහඬකින් කෑ ගහන මනුස්සයට ඇස් තුනක් තියෙනවා කියලා පේරන්ට්ස්ලා ළමයින්ට කියලා තියෙන බය කරන්න. So his voice quietened the troublesome children. Underline, he is a disgrace to the nation. So that is Jagan's belief. He is a disgrace. That is because of Gandhi's principles, Gandhi's philosophy, that everyone must work, should do some kind of a service to the nation. Jagan commented within himself, and by the time he reached the statue of Lole, a forlorn off, his head throbbed with several national and human problems and their ramifications. Ramifications means the spread, right? Then පහු කරගෙන යනකොට his head is full of all these problems and how they are spread in the society. So he passes the vagrant and comes to the next point. Sir Frederick Lowley faced the city, and his back was supposed to be the back of beyond, at one time, the limit of the city's expansion. So Frederick Lowley's back was believed the end of the city. Right? So this Lowley statue symbolizes the end of the city. So that was a belief people had. Right? People believed that this is the city limit. Sir Frederick Lowley's statue. And the Lowley statue is facing Malgudi city. But this prophecy was confounded when Lowell extension, Southern extension, and New extension all stretched out beyond the statue. But later, new housing colonies, or housing schemes, were created later. Lowell extension, Southern extension, New extension, මේ වගේ housing colonies ඇති වුණා. Right? So this prophecy, the prediction, the prediction was confound, make wrong. All stretched beyond the statue, and Jagan's ancestral home, which had been the last house outskirt in the city, became the first one for all the newer housing colonies. So earlier, Jagan's house was the last one. The end of the city, Lole statue, and next to Lole statue, there's Jagan's ancestral home. Right? So that is the last house in Malgudi. එතනින් එහාට ගෙවල් නැහැ. Right? But later what happened? Southern extension, new extension, Lowell extension, all these emerged. Now what happened? Jagan's house became the first house of all the housing colonies. Right? Earlier, Jagan's house was the last one from the city, and now Jagan's house is the first house of all the newer housing colonies. So all the new housing colonies are behind or beyond Jagan's house. So now Jagan's house is the first house of all these new houses. Jagan approached the statue. As Jagan approached the statue, he felt a thrill, not at the spectacle of the enormous gentleman standing in a Napoleonic attitude. So this Napoleon means a French dictator, Napoleon Bonaparte, right? So he had a very stern look, right? Very proud, stern look. Napoleon, a very stern look. And when people see the statue, they are thrilled, right? Now Jagan also feels that thrill, but that is not because of the statue, right? That is not because of the appearance of Sir Frederick Lowell. Then why? Jagan had ceased to notice the statue for over 20 years now. Right? For over 40 years, Jagan had stopped looking at the statue. ඒක නිසා මේ statue එකේ බලපෑමක් නෙමෙයි ජගන්ගේ මේ change එකට statue එක ළඟදී වෙන. Then why? But because he anticipated the glimpse of his son Mali. Underline his son Mali, another character. Now we saw Jagan, we saw Kasim, right? The cooks and the front counter boy, captain. Now it is Mali. A glimpse of his son Mali on the other side of the statue. So Jagan passes the statue from one side. On the other side, there's Mali, Jagan's son. The pedestal had broad steps all around, which served as a park bench for the young and old people, for the young and old of the neighborhood. Neighborhood means close by, people. Now the statue has a pedestal. Pedestal එකක් තියෙනවා පාදමක්. And this pedestal, so people use it to sit down, just like in a park, like a park bench. They sit around the statue. Pensioners, idlers, tired workmen, sickly citizens, advised by the doctors to inhale fresh air, sat facing east, west, north, and south. Right? Now, pedestal has 4 sides, and all those 4 sides, pensioners, idlers, tired workmen, sickly citizens, they sit around this statue on the pedestal. Students leaning on their cycles formed a group on the southern steps. So, on the southern steps of the statue, there's a group of young students forming a cycle, forming a circle with their bicycles. Right? Bicycle තියාගෙන රවුමට ඉන්නවා දැන්. All dressed, underline, in tight trousers and colorful shirts, hotly discussing film stars and cricket and fashion in dress and deportment. So, what are they talking about? The young people, the new generation, right? Now we start to get some information about the new generation, right? Now we know Jagan's generation, Jagan's habits, some old traditional beliefs. Then Mali represents the new generation, the young generation. Now there are topics. What are their topics? They talk about cricket. They talk about fashion. They talk about film stars, modernity. They talk of modern topics, right? Jagan, tradition, Mali, modern, tradition and modernity. Jagan passed the statue on its north side so that he might not embarrass his son. Right? Now the son is wearing tight trouser, colorful shirt with bicycles. They talk of modern things. On the other side, there's the father with dhoti and jiba, the traditional dress. Right? So this tradition and modernity. So Jagan's clothes don't match with Mali's clothes. Right? So when Jagan goes in front of the son, who is modern, and his friends, Jagan would embarrass his son. තමන්ගේ පුතා ඉස්සරහට මේ විදියට ගියාම he would embarrass. ඒක මාලිට ලැජ්ජාවක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒගොල්ලෝ modern අය මේ වගේ traditional dress එකක් අඳගෙන ගියාම. But he liked to make sure that he was there. With a swift glance at the group, he spotted Mali by the deep yellow of his shirt. Right? Jagan doesn't like to go in front of the sun, but at the same time, he likes to know that his son is there. So, with a glance, very quick look, he notices Mali. Mali is there. Deep yellow of his shirt. And this glimpse, this look fills him with joy. He tiptoed away looking elsewhere. නිකන් ඒ පැත්ත බැලුවේ නෑ වගේ නිකන් බලාගෙන ඉක්මනට යනවා. Tiptoed, like walking very secretly, like a thief. Muttering to himself irrelevantly, and when he walks away, he tells himself, poor boy, let him be. Poor boy, let him be with the friends. Talk to them and releases his mind. Poor boy. He was very proud of his son's height, weight, and growth. There are others, but he stands out from among them. So Mali is a well grown up child. So Jagan can very easily identify him, spot him. Wonder. what God has in store for him, he reflected, must give him more time. Now, Jagan sees Mali as a well grown up young man, but at the same time, he just thinks, what would God give him? What would be his future? Must give him time. Okay, we'll wait and see, right? What the God would give him. He reached home, his thoughts still hovering about his son, hovering, revolving. Although he comes home, his mind still works on Mali. He let himself in to his house. Just let himself into his house. Something like mechanically goes in without any idea, without any intention. Just as a habit, he goes in. Switch on the light in the front room, took off his upper cloth and hung it on a nail in the wall, took off his jibba and thrust it into the basket for tomorrow's wash. So he removes his cloth, he hangs the upper cloth on a nail and then removes his jibba and put it in the basket so that he can wash it tomorrow. He passed through the ancient house through its triple series of open courtyards and corridors. Triple series. So it has three corridors and three courtyards separately. අර පරණ වලව්වල එහෙම තියෙන්නේ මැද මිදුළු. So Jagan has three open courtyards, just like open compounds in the middle of the house. So now you see Jagan's house is a fairly big one. මැද මිදුළු තුනක් ගෙදරක තියෙන්න ඒගේ හරි විශාල ගෙයක් වෙන්න. So Jagan is a wealthy person. He has a big house. Triple series of open courtyards and corridors and reached the back door. Lifted the crossbar and let it down gently. Right? Now there is something called the crossbar to lock the door. දොර පොල්ල කියලා කියන්නේ. Right? There is a crossbar and he removes it. He stood for a moment, gazing at the stars, enthralled at the spectacle of the firmament. After that, he opens the back door and looks at the firmament. Firmament means the sky. He looks at the sky, enthralled. Enthralled means enchanted. Right? He is enchanted to the sky. He looks at the sky, enchanted. Spectacle, the vision of the sky. One still wonders, he told himself, but the problem remains. So people wonder, but no one has found an answer. තාමත් මිනිස්සු කල්පනා කරනවා. But the problem is there still. Who lives indoors? Indoors means in those stars. Looking at the sky, he sees millions of stars. Then he wonders who live on them. The stars, the galaxies, the planets, planetary systems, who live on them. We are probably glimpsing the real heaven and don't know it. So, this is the heaven, but no one can prove it that it is heaven, right? So, no one can prove it that it is heaven. Probably all our ancient sagas are looking down at us. So, that is the heaven. From the heaven, our ancestors, sagas, wise people, after their death, they live in the heaven, and from heaven, they are looking down at us. What are those constellations? What are those zodiac signs, star patterns? He could not be clear about them. His astronomy was limited to the location of the pole star from Orion's belt or sword or some such point. So he has a limited knowledge about the stars. What are they? He can identify the pole star. He can identify the Orion's belt, sword, those things. This Orion's means Orion. So that is a zodiac sign that we all can easily identify. So he has a very weak knowledge, poor knowledge. For which knowledge he had been awarded a second class badge many years ago when he was a Boy Scout. So he has the knowledge when he acquired, when he got as a Boy Scout in those days. So you see, he has a very limited knowledge and outdated knowledge, right? His knowledge is not updated to an adult. A Boy Scout knowledge එක තමයි තාම තියෙන්නේ. Outdated knowledge. Jagan was concerned, right? For all the million stellar bodies sparkling, so in the sky, millions of stars shine. Out of those, as far as Jagan was concerned, they might not be more than the two he had been taught to identify. So, although there are millions of stars, Jagan is sure there's only two. He knows only two. In addition to Orion and Pole Star, he often noticed an extraordinarily lively firework in the sky. So, other than this Pole Star and Orion's belt, he identifies another thing, extraordinarily lively firework, very bright object in the sky towards the westerly direction, towards west. He called it sometimes Venus, sorry, which sometimes stood poised over the earth, stood poised ready to disappear, move. What is this? My westerly direction එකේ, what is this bright object in the sky in this late evening? What is it? Venus, right? That's why Venus disappears, ready to disappear, poised, ready to move away. He called it sometimes Venus, sometimes Jupiter. One time he called it that is Venus, sometimes he called it Jupiter. Never being sure. He's not sure whether that is Jupiter or Venus. But admiring unreservedly and feeling proud that he was also a part of the same creation. So he's happy that he's a part of this creation of the universe. Unreservedly, without any restriction. That means openly, completely, admiring these stellar bodies in the sky. Feeling proud that he was also a part of the same creation. Now Jagan is happy that he also belongs to this heaven, right? This wonderful sea, sky. He is also a part of this universe. All this was a habitual second of contemplation whenever he passed into the bathroom in the backyard. So this is uh, Jagan's habit, right? This is Jagan's habit whenever he goes to the bathroom. So that means every day he does this, looks at the sky and thinks of all these things every day, right? So this happens every day whenever he goes to the bathroom, right?